After World War II, with the Cold War between the United States and the Soviets emerging quickly, Americans on the home front became more and more on edge. There was one threat that continued to become ever more apparent: communism.
Communism, at home and abroad. We are defending it against that attack, but Americanism is also under another kind of an attack. The growing practice of character assassination is already curbing free speech, and it is threatening all our other freedoms. For I know you have no way of telling when some unfounded accusation may be hurled at you, perhaps straight from the halls of Congress.
President Harry Truman is referencing here the works of the House on Un-American Activities Committee, also known as Huac. Their original mission was to monitor those individuals that could potentially harm the United States. However, as the Cold War intensified, their main focus became targeting the communist threat. While defending the committee to the press, Chairman J. Parnell Thomas explained that the Constitution was never intended to cloak or shield those who would destroy it, and went on further to say that the Communist Party was a conspiracy to overthrow the government of the United States.
I am not a communist and never have been a communist.
Huac went on to take many individuals such as prominent baseball players, union leaders, school teachers, diplomats, directors, writers, and actors to the court, accusing them of communist ties. In order to prevent charges against them, one would either denounce the party as a whole, admit their own ties, or pin the blame on someone else.
Walt Disney speaks of Hollywood union affairs and assails communism.
I don't believe it's a political party. I believe it's an un-American thing. And the thing that I resent the most is that they are able to get into these unions and take them over and represent to the world that a group of people that are in my plant that I know are good 100% Americans are trapped by this group, and they're represented to the world as supporting all of those ideologies, and it's not so.
Our industry was under attack. Every headline, every newscast, even newsreel, was blazing the news that Hollywood movies were filled with secret communist propaganda. And there was a panic in the industry that people would stop going to movies. Something had to be done.
As Marsha Hunt said, Hollywood was under attack. People like Walt Disney were called to testify, as Huac believed Hollywood was the headquarters of all communist activity. Around 300 innocent actors, directors, and writers were blacklisted for their supposed affiliation with communism. A group of 10 courageous Hollywood stars, referred to as the Hollywood 10, refused to testify to the court for an injustice action being done to them. They believed that Huac violated their Fifth Amendment right to be free from self-incrimination and their First Amendment right to freedom of speech and assembly.
Why didn't we answer the questions yes or no as the committee demanded? Because we wanted to challenge the right of the committee to ask such questions.
Members included Albert Maltz, Lester Cole, Samuel Ornitz, Adrian Scott, Alva Bessie, Ring Lardner Jr., Herbert J. Biberman, Dalton Trumbo, Edward Dmytryk, and John Howard Lawson.
Are you a member of the Communist Party? Or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
It's unfortunate and tragic that I have to teach this committee the basic principles of Americanism.
That's not the question. The question is, have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
I'm framing my answer in the only way in which...
Stand away from the stand.
For Americanism for many years, and I...
Stand away from the stand.
The question, are you now or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party, was asked during every testimony. The Hollywood 10 refused to answer this question. Eventually, Lawson and the rest of the Hollywood 10 were charged with contempt of Congress and sent to prison. These 10 people were also placed on a blacklist, which destroyed their careers.
Placing your fellow actor, fellow friend, fellow director in jeopardy meant that that family didn't work anymore. So that taking that step was about the worst thing that you could do to anybody.
Through the later 1950s, Huac decreased in popularity fairly quickly, especially among the public. However, it left a lasting impression on people all over the nation. Marcia Hunt, one of the many in Hollywood that were blacklisted, describes Huac's reign as a terribly, terribly painful time. It was shameful. It spread to the broadcast media, to education, to even religion, and for well over a decade, this was no longer the land of the free, nor the home of the brave.